Darkstar, busy week of news in the business of golf, not in the playing of golf, unless you're a Live Golf fan, and the Adelaide event was magnificent, I think. You know more than I. I had a massive soccer tournament all weekend. I couldn't watch it.
Phenomenal. I was riveted on the last day. But
yeah, it sounds like it was awesome. I will be watching, even though I know the outcome. Fabulous. But the business news. The business news are really twofold. The main items, among others, Rory offering to return to the PGA Tour board, and the PGA Tour announcing that they're making stock grants in the new for-profit company PGA Tour Enterprises, PGATE, aptly abbreviated PGATE. And what a ripoff. So the point here, Inner Circle. We're coming to Inner Circle with this information. And I'm going to come to you, Darkstar. And then it's a tight episode today, audience. So we'll get as much in as we can, as short as we can, because we got to run back to work. The thing about Rory, I'll get to that in a second. But the thing about the stock grants, to my way of thinking as a business guy, is it's the definition of screwing your management team, because the guys they want to give the stock to are the key guys. And unless the key guys are functioning morons, and I can't believe that, in business they probably are, but I can't believe they don't have advisors. And they're looking at this going, well, what you're giving me, and I'll let you comment, Darkstar, in detail. You're giving me pieces of paper that say I can convert to shares in PGATE, at some point in the future, a vesting schedule, the usual stuff in a startup. But the problem is the liquidity event for the startup is certainly not to go public, you wouldn't think. And it's not to get sold, you wouldn't think, which are the only two exit strategies for starting a company. You're either going to go public and have a big liquidity event, right? Sell your shares to the public, and everybody cashes their shares in and makes a ton of money. Or you get acquired by somebody else who's bigger and you can make a ton of money. That's it. That's why you want stock. Neither one of those two things are going to happen with PGATE. So what's my stock really worth? Okay, problem number one. Problem number two, what's the thing being valued at? The PGA Tour Enterprises is worth $4 trillion. There's never been a sport on the planet Earth worth more than pro golf, ever, in the history of civilization. And your shares, you get shares in this thing. Okay, well, what if that valuation is goes down in the future? What are my shares worth? Well, then your shares are worthless. Okay, great. All right, you go. You tell me what your reaction to this is, because my reaction is it's a clown show.
Yeah, so first of all, they bribed Rory with air. Rory, we're going to give you 50 million particles of air because you're never going to see a nickel. They actually bribed Rory with $50 million that he will never, ever realize. Now, think about it. Just the simple thing for Rory is, for you to actually receive money, you have to then sell that to somebody. So let's say this. If I'm the Pearson Cootie, right? He's supposed to be a future star. Pearson, they gave me $50 million for money, and I want to sell it to you for $100 million. Pearson, can you come up with the $100 million? I'll sell it to you in 5 years. The lunacy behind, because you can only sell it to a PGA Tour member. The second reaction is you're giving Tiger, who is now a non-playing entity. He is not going to add any value. So when private equity comes in and buys a company, they buy the management team, etc. They buy somebody who's of value, who's going to run this company, and they lock that guy in for 5 years. You're going to run this company because you've been doing a great job. We're going to pay you $100 million now to run the company. Tiger, we're going to pay you $100 million now because we expect you to win 3 to 5 more majors in the next 5 years, win 25 tournaments, and be the star of the tour. But I can't walk. Oh, yeah. Well, that's okay.
Minor detail. Minor detail.
You'll never receive the money anyway. They're valuing something that has no intrinsic value when you think about it. They don't own anything at $12 billion. So even Tiger's only getting 80 bips.
83 though. It's 83, Darkstar. 83 basis points, so less than 1%.
Spieth and Thomas are getting like 22 bips. Are you kidding
me,
Jordan?
Well, they're getting 50.
You're selling your soul for nothing.
Yeah, you're right. They're getting about 20. Don't say it like that. To give the audience the actual It's 0.3% is what they're.
Yeah, you're getting less than 0.3%
And while you're
only
vamping
gonna
about
go
this,
down in value.
let me put it to the audience this way, and then I want you to keep going. Sorry to interrupt, but the right way to kind of think about it, just to get your brain around the numbers, audience, in an easy way, and we'll continue to talk this way now for the show. That the PGA Tour is saying that PGATE is worth $12 billion. That's the valuation they're giving it according to the press. Based on what? Who knows? It can't possibly be worth that because that's some formula that incorporates revenue, and we know the revenue is about what, $1.5 billion. So it's
if that.
It's worth 10 times revenue somehow magically. Okay, and it's of course never really made. Well, whatever. It has cash flow, but anyway, not a lot. So it's so we're going to knock off the zeros to make it easy to talk about. So the PGA Tour aristocracy is saying that PGA Tour Enterprises is worth $12,000. So it's worth $12,000, and we're giving Tiger $100 of equity. That's what we're saying. Everybody can appreciate these numbers. So it's $12,000 is what the car in the driveway is worth, and we're giving you $100. Tiger gets the most. He gets $100.
Tiger's getting $83.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Sorry. Yeah, 80. Well, no. Well, I did the math. No, it's 83 basis points. It's $100 though. It's $100 million.
Okay.
So it's $100 on 12,000. And Spieth, now that's where you were. You can pick back up. Spieth is getting what, 30 million? Is that what they told him?
$30.
He's getting $30 out of the $12,000. Go ahead, continue.
So the point that I'm making is you have a business that their revenue is based on advertising dollars in a dying sport.
On cable television.
On cable television, right. Now, and the guy who owns the most equity as a player doesn't even play anymore.
It's got $100 out of 12,000.
He got $100 out of the 12,000. Mm-hmm. So in other words, what we're saying here is when they get to a real, this is like Vertical Net back in 2000 when it went public at $20 a share, it went to $2,000 a share. And then, by the way, next year it was bankrupt.
Well, think about
that's what the PGA Tour reminds me
think about
of.
These
reminds
numbers.
me of an internet. It reminds me of a .com company.
Think about these numbers, audience. And I'm interrupting Darkstar again because the numbers are so hilarious, and Darkstar is going to laugh and he'll want to talk about this. So, Tiger gets $100 out of our $12,000 valuation of the PGA Tour using these proper numbers. We're just knocking off the zeros, right, to make it more conversational and understandable. So he gets $100. Rory gets $50. Spieth gets $30, JT gets $30, whatever. Those are four guys. Now let's say there's another five, whoever player number 5 is out of the whatever 100 guys that are getting it all. Add it all up for the top 5 guys, and you have what looks to me to be about $210, $220. Okay, out of the $12,000 valuation of the stock. Okay, so let's use round numbers, and we'll be generous. We'll say the top guys, 5-6 guys on the PGA Tour, are getting $250 out of the 12,000. So my brain says, well, who keeps the other $11,750? You guys, it's going to be awesome. You guys get $250. Well, what do you guys get? $11,750. Oh, well, but aren't we the guys that sort of, play? Aren't we the players? I mean, you could, in a company, you could replace the head of sales and the head of operations and the head of marketing and the CEO. You could do that pretty easily, actually, in most companies. But in this thing, you take away all the players, and what do they have? Nothing. Zero.
But you know what? Let me just say this. This is important. You know where they're really going to get screwed? They're going to sign some type of new contract where they're now no longer an independent contractor, and they're actually probably a member or a party to PGATE. And therefore, they're beholden to just playing for the PGA Tour at whatever rates. Think about that.
Well, the options are certainly that. I mean, your vesting schedule, your options disappear if you leave. And that's normal for any company, right? You go work if you're at Apple and you go work for Google, well, you lose your Apple options.
Right. So in other words, they're going to sign to play on the PGA Tour for the next 5 years at these vested prices. But then again, the second point is
they're being tricked to do it, even with short of that. Tricked. You're like, here's $100 million worth of worthless paper. It's toilet paper, Darkstar.
The line from our favorite movie. John, who are we selling this to? Willing buyers at a fair market
Same
price.
people we've always been selling it to.
So let me get this straight. As I said, so
You're selling them something you know is worthless. We're selling them at the fair market price. Whatever his answer is.
That is so great. The fair market value. Yeah. And that's my whole point is who's going to be able to buy this?
Margin call,
Who
audience.
are they going to sell
Margin
to?
call.
I'm not going to buy it. No young PGA Tour guy who's struggling to make $1 million a year is going to pony up and pay Jordan, $50 million.
Well,
let's
make that point. Let's go ahead and make that point. Go watch Margin Call and watch it once a month. All the best clips are on YouTube anyway. Margin Call with Jeremy Irons playing the star and great cast. Kevin Spacey. It's a fabulous cast, fabulously written film. These SSG guys, including the PGA Tour board guys that are the not talked about part of the aristocracy now, Jimmy Dunn and Ed Hurley and the gang, they're those guys. They are Wall Street. They knew that mortgage-backed securities were worth nothing in 2007. They knew that it was, dog shit wrapped in cat shit. They knew that, and they were selling it all over the world to pension funds in Finland and Norway, and these funds were hemorrhaging money after it all went away, and they caused a global catastrophe financially that governments had to jump in and print money to bail us out of. These are the same guys. The same guys.
Who else is going to get screwed too? Guys like a Magic Johnson, a Michael Jordan, who are going to invest in the PGA Tour. Hey, give us $100 million of our, you'll be just like Tiger. You'll have the same amount of money in as Tiger. Yeah, give us $100 million, and in 5 years we're going to give you back nothing.
It's comical in its scale. But if you want to lie to people, the old expression, I don't know exactly what it is, but it's something like tell a big lie. Really gotta, because if it's a big lie, normal people can't imagine it. You would do that. I mean, a big lie. Nobody would do that. Yes, that's exactly precisely what they're doing. And Yasser Al-Rumayyan is a financial guru. I mean, he runs one of the world's largest private equity funds, essentially, the PIF. These guys are nothing but bankers. That's what they do. They read spreadsheets. They can do calculations. They know precisely and exactly what's going on here.
Well, let me get into that. In the other league, they actually gave you cash-like monies, and you win real money. You actually win real money. So it's Cameron Tringali, who, as we know, just won this week's LIV event.
Brendan Steele.
I'm sorry, Brendan Steele. Yeah, Brendan Steele, who won this week's event. He received a check for $4 million plus third place in the team competition. I believe that's like another $250,000.
Yeah, that's real money. Yeah.
Real money. And he probably got $10 million to sign. Now, he is one of the probably 100 best golfers on the planet in a sport that everybody can play with very little barrier to entry. And he deserves that. Where these guys on the PGA,
he's earned it. Whatever.
He's earned it. Right. He has earned that money. I have no problem with him earning $4 million because the pressure there was, people were melting. Literally. Their face was falling off. They were melting. The point is, and LIV, you're getting exactly what you were told. John, you're getting $300 million. And we expect you to perform. And Rahm's been performing, but guess what? He still hasn't won a LIV event. He's been in the top 10, I think, every event. He hasn't won one. It's hard to win. Any level, it's hard to win. On the PGA Tour, you had to win just to make a living and keep your card half the time. But yeah, like I said, why would anybody? It's interesting. The other thing is Leishman and Cam Smith, basically, when they were talking about going to LIV, they said they put down on paper the pluses and the minuses, and there weren't a lot of minuses about going to LIV. And they just won a team event, and they're ecstatic. They couldn't be happier. Short of winning a major, they could not be happier than winning the team competition on their home soil and getting actual paid in real dollars, real money, not paper grants that you will never, ever realize. We can't stress that enough. You and I have done enough business deals where they will never see that.
It's a total sham. They've constructed from the get-go. So there's plenty of people that would know this. This is it's not complicated and it's not secret. The entirety of the grants that are the shares that are being set aside for players is, according to this article in Golf Digest, $930 million, which, using our example, knocking off the zeros, is $930 out of the $12,000 that they say the thing is worth. So the lemonade stand is worth $12,000. We're setting aside $930 of that for players. If you'd like more Thinking Man shows and topics, then subscribe to our audio podcast. That is where you will get at least 3 new shows every week and topics that will never get to YouTube. And there are a lot of those that we like to talk about that will never get to YouTube. Use the link in the video description below. And thank you again for being a fan.